Welcome to Not Just Any Book Club. Book Ends, the show not about books. I know we should have called it Off the Books, but today, this episode, we're talking about a different kind of movie. We're talking about the first serial killer movie, M, 1931. Ooh, from Germany, because it's German month, where we're discussing German literature and German culture a bit. We're dipping toes into that, but, this is the movie, Fritz Lang. I think he's kind of the eponymous director, I think, for German cinema. So I decided to show Pierce this. Now, Pierce, we're about to say something.
No, I was
Okay.
going right through
it. Well, this is Fritz Lang has made obviously a career with Metropolis and The Testament of Dr. Mabuse, but I really wanted to show Pierce a German film that actually had sound, and as much as I love the idea, as I love the movie Metropolis, I don't think I can really get Pierce to watch a German silent film. Not yet, at least. Not yet. Maybe one day he'll watch the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, or maybe Nosferatu, but today is not that day. Today is not that day. So I decided to have him watch this movie, which is a movie I dearly love. This is my second time watching it, and I find the history behind this film fascinating, and its legacy, and German cinema. It's great. So yeah. Pierce, what did you think of this movie?
I thought it was pretty good. I can't say I did not love it.
Oh no.
I've seen movies this old. It was just I don't know. I just didn't love it. It was good.
Okay.
I thought it was I could see how for the time it would have been thought-provoking.
Yeah, especially this is like one of the first sound movies to come out, and this is Fritz Lang's first sound film. So yeah, just imagine how, and he already mastered the use of sound.
Yeah,
keep going.
And it's just, I guess it just feels like today a lot of people already hold all of the opinions, or most of the opinions, that the movie seems to want you to like think about, and maybe we shouldn't let mob justice happen, and maybe we shouldn't put people to death, which I know is still a topic today, but it's
a hotly debated topic, especially at the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the time. Today I feel like it's a lot of older people who are very pro death penalty.
Adamant. Yeah, I mean, I still think this movie really holds up, which kind of blows my mind, because this was one of the first sound films to be made in Germany at the time, especially with a legendary director who just somehow is able to master the craft and use montage and voiceover in ways that we've not seen, and these long stretches of silence, which were very budgetary, but like somehow really add to it. I don't know. I know there are times in the movie where you think your audio is not working. There are sometimes, but like it works. It's very eerie.
It felt like he. Yeah, I agree with you. It does work. It felt like it might have been budgetary, but it felt like to me he just didn't think that he needed to use it. Like you said, it was his first non-silent film, so he obviously knows when he does and doesn't need much sound.
Yeah. And if you're not, well, I'm guessing Pierce has definitely not watched Metropolis, but Metropolis, this is a silent epic, 2.5 hours. It's probably even longer. That's the most complete cut, because that film was basically just cut a lot. And this very evil party kind of hid that away from that being seen again. Anyways, we should probably summarize this movie a little bit. This movie's not that complex. It's very simple, but I think its beauty lies in its simplicity. So who's gonna do the honors here? That's a rhetorical question, isn't it?
I mean, I suppose I could.
Okay.
Well, so the movie starts and we see some children, some chillins. They're playing like Eeny Meeny Miny Mo, but with a chant about a murderer, the Grim Reaper,
Yeah.
something like that.
Which I think is
Um,
some inspiration for Freddy Krueger's opening, Nightmare on Elm Street. Just putting that out there.
really,
Yeah.
I need to watch those films. Maybe I will this October.
Okay.
Um,
Some spring horror there.
but we have Elsie Elsie Beckman. She's playing with a ball on her way home, and she gets approached by a man who is, I think he's whistling in this
In
scene,
the Hall of
or
the
we
Mountain
have heard
King.
him whistle. Yep.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, he is. Yeah. Yes, he's already whistling then. Um, and he gets her a balloon, and he talks to her, and all this. And her mom starts to get worried because she should be home from school and she's not. And then it's not outright said, but fairly
Very much
clear
implied.
that
Yeah.
very much implied that Elsie was killed or murdered by the man that she met, whose name is Hans Beckert. I guess I should just say it's not like I'm
Yeah.
revealing it. Yeah. Um, but the town goes crazy because this is like the last in like a string of child murders, right? Or no?
There there was yeah, there's a string of child murders and everybody's on edge. I think there were a few beforehand, but
Yes.
definitely a few.
Right. And then this one like sets off the public about it. They get really upset about it. Partially because Hans Beckert sends a letter to the newspapers basically saying, "Hey, I'm doing this and I'm just starting."
Yeah, the
And
police have not responded, so it looks like I'm just writing
yeah.
directly to the press.
And so the police pull some clues from the letter, handwriting, fingerprinting. We get some shots of people arguing and accusing each other of being the murderer.
They're very on edge.
Um, yep. The police are working around the clock. Not only the detectives, but also um, like anti-riot police. Because people are super on edge and everyone's looking for this guy. There's like bands of mobs like looking
Yeah,
for him.
which was actually based on a
Um,
real thing. I did not know that.
really?
Yeah, I forgot. Well, hold on, look up the people. Um, basically, it was akin to the mafia. Um, like there was an underground crime group in Germany. This is during the what is the period before World War II, the Weimar period, whatever that period was. Um, and basically they just had their hands and everything. And I think it's very interesting to note here is that they want to catch the serial killer, but mainly because of business reasons. They they're like, guys, this killer is gonna ruin our business. We can't really operate. They're really doing this for selfish reasons, really, instead of being the noble reasons. And what I find really interesting is that they kind of intercut between um, the police having the same conversation, where the police are looking for ways to kind of exert more control over the populace. So basically, they're both opportunizing this crisis and just letting it enable them to have power over people. And but also doing it for selfish reasons. By the way, I just looked up the German the mafia thing. It's called the Ringverein. I butchered that. Um, but basically, they were working in the Berlin underground. And it is very similar to the mafia, is because like they have business and they don't hurt innocent people and they only rob from the rich and all that stuff. Um, there was some public favor, but mostly their beef was with the police. Which, yeah. So as this keeps on happening, they decide the ring, whatever. They try to
I think
find
without listening to pronunciation, I would imagine it's Lingfa Aina.
that sounds like it. Don't make me say that. Um, whatever Pierce said. They basically just start trying to find him, find the murderer, and basically they start hiring the beggars and making sure they get paid. They put out a reward, um, and everyone's working around the clock, and it just like it leads to a lot of tension happening. Um, so then we cut back to Beckert. Beckert, who I think is kind of the closest thing we have to having a protagonist, because it's really not one central protagonist about this entire thing for at least the first 30 minutes, which is interesting. Um, Beckert sees another young girl in the reflection, and he is having a lot of problems. Like this is where we show his duality. He looks into the mirror and he's looking at knives, but once he sees a little girl, he gets impulsively just starts whistling and just wants to go after her. So he basically just starts being a predator and holding her hand and just treating her well, quote unquote well. And it starts to alert everybody, and eventually the Ling whatever, they basically just track him down, and they put the M on his shoulder with chalk, and they corner him into a building,
You're
and they basically
forgetting
have
that the blind guy recognized
the
his
blind guy.
whistling.
That is
That's how,
very
and he
important.
tells his friend, and the friend is the guy who puts the chalk M on him. For
That is very important.
Milda.
Yeah, that is very important. Yeah, so that happens as well. But eventually, they corner him into a building. They the criminals dress up as policemen, and then they kind of break in. They hold the court guy, not the court guys, the night watchman hostage, and they just try to find him and corner him, and they eventually do. And well, one of them is left behind, and the police just interrogate him, and they eventually spills the beans, and the criminals have Hans Beckert into this kangaroo court inside this indescribable building. I forgot where it was, and he's probably the most dramatic scene in the entire movie. Hans Beckert begs for his life, saying that he's innocent, not innocent, that he can't really help anything, that he's basically very compulsive. It's the demons within his mind that are making him do all these terrible acts, and the kangaroo court does not have it. They want to kill him, and then just in the nick of time, the police come and stop it, and then it kind of abruptly cuts to a court, um, which we don't even hear the verdict happening. We don't even see the trial. We just see three grieving mothers who just say something about their no sentence will bring the dead children back. One has to keep close watch of their children, and then goes all of you. Ends. No credits. Nothing. It's very abrupt. I think this is probably another movie where I've just shown Pierce where the ending is just very abrupt, and he was like, "That's it." Like the fourth
Yeah.
movie in a row. So yeah, what a wild movie that was. you know, I know that you said that you're super crazy about this movie.
uh-huh.
It's probably the pacing, and the one part of this movie I just really don't like, that I every time I watch it, both times I've watched it, is the scene after the capture, and the homicide police is trying to negotiate with the one guy trying to spill the beans. It just kind of slows things down, in my opinion. That's the one main detractor, because that just grinds the pacing to the halt. It's very superfluous, very unnecessary. Um, I don't know, but other than that, I think this movie's fantastic. I don't know what you're talking about, Pierce.
Well, I guess I just my being lukewarm to it is it's just like this is supposed to be like top 100 movie of all time material.
Hmm.
And
Okay,
I guess I just don't feel that way about it.
yeah, that's all opinions.
Um, right.
Yeah,
Um, I do think it's very good. I think the pacing in the beginning makes it hard to get into. I think there are a lot of
really.
very good scenes. Okay, so
You got
after
opinions.
Elsie,
I'm not calling your opinions on you.
after Elsie is murdered, there is the point where everyone's freaking out, and I thought, like, I don't know. It was just it felt hard to get into. There were some good
Really?
scenes in there, but I wasn't really sure where it was going, I guess, at that time.
See, that's what made the movie work for me.
Really?
Yeah, it's because again, there's no central protagonist, which
Yeah.
I find is really interesting. A very deliberate choice by making all of Berlin just basically this one conglomerate character, where basically everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. And I think it's really well paced because one, this is one of the first uses of montage with voiceover, which really helps the pacing because he'll be having one character will be having a conversation, and then just cuts over to it's like a montage of it happening, and where another movie would probably just like kind of explain what's going on, it's just kind of implied as to what's going on, and you kind of loosely associate the dialogue with the images on screen. Innovative technique at the time, and I still think it really holds up. And also, the overlapping dialogue is kind of punctuated and augmented with the silence, which again, budgetary concern probably, but also it just really works in my opinion. It just makes the film seem just more like silent and desolate, and like when those scenes really need to rack up tension, just remove all silence. It's like No Country for Old Men. Silence is sometimes the best form of tension augmentation you really need. Um, I don't know, and another thing I just love about this movie is the cinematography. I forgot who the cinematographer was for this movie, but I just loved the dynamic camera. You know, I'm a sucker for this. The slow dollies after these long shots just always gets me because you never know what's gonna happen. Well, not you never know what's gonna happen, but it makes some of these scenes just very interesting to look at. And I this is like Fritz Long. Am I also pronouncing Long right? Is it Fritz Lang or is it Fritz Long?
I would think it's long because that a vowel sound we do is usually they usually use an umlaut for that, if I'm not mistaken.
Very interesting. I get it.
Cinematographer Fritz Arno Wagner.
Okay. All right, because he's worked with him before. For
Mhm.
Metropolis, I've say Metropolis a lot. Like you should watch it because you totally should. Um, but I think another thing that he does so well here is intercutting between the cops and the criminals to show how they're not too different and how they're both kind of corrupt in their own ways. What did you think of that? And probably can draw some parallels to real life history here, because this was right before 2 years right before big scary H man took over.
Oh my god. Um, what how each group searching was corrupt in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I thought also it was interesting how the police themselves didn't seem to really be enjoying what, they were being told to do that much. They were working around the clock and they were all like exhausted and they wanted to like go home. I just remember that conversation where it's like I forget exactly who the conversation was between, but it I think it was a montage at the same time. It was like showing all the cops like coming in to the
Mm.
station from like their riot
Oh
police
yeah.
stuff, and
Like
then
someone's explaining everything.
and they were like waking the other police up to like take their place.
Huh.
Um,
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting that the actual like arms of the law were not following exactly what the law meant, or they wouldn't have chosen to do what the actual makers of the law would have wanted them to do.
Also, just a little bit of a fun fact here. Loman, I think that's his name, Inspector Loman, Chief Officer Loman, whoever. He was inspired by a real guy, Ernst Ganot. I should really look again, butchering this pronunciation. He was head of Berlin's mortar inspection, which is the world's first police homicide division. It introduced a lot of innovations to the investigation procedures, such as becoming the first. Um, he was like became the first man to use TV to ask the public for information relevant to an ongoing investigation, and also coined the word serial killer. Um, so that's a little bit of a fun fact, like the mannerisms and everything. Plus, he actually shows up in a few of his other movies, which serializing a movie character into other to other movies That's very rare, especially around this time. So it was kind of neat. A little fun fact. Um, but yeah, the police are corrupt in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least just like going in for the wrong reasons.
And I guess it is an interesting thing given that two years before the rise of of a political party in Germany. Um it is interesting that each group kind of wants it for the wrong reasons. Each of them want it for different reasons. But in the end they Hmm. But in the end they kind of want the same
They're both
thing.
disgusted. Yeah, they're both
Right.
disgusted. They have standards. It's
Uh-huh.
just, again, they're committing to the act for, I guess, the quote unquote wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, there's also kind of an aspect of like, yes, this is disgusting. He's trying to show like, yeah, this is gross, but don't go too far with it, I guess, which
Mm-hmm.
is what the court case at the
The
end
courtroom
is
scene,
supposed to
yeah,
be. Um like yeah, he's doing the wrong thing, Becker, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we should kill him back.
yeah, um, yeah. And then the use of capital punishment again was a controversial thing. There was a lot of debate. I was looking at a bit of research over this. There was a lot of debate about like the use of capital punishment and how some people think it was barbaric and some people thought it was, something that needed to have happen to actually have form a republic because Germany around this time was kind of chaotic. There's a lot of just lawlessness. I'm guessing. I don't know if you can characterize it as that, but like, German morale was low, and that's been very low. Which again led to the rise of the really evil party that's going to come very soon. Um, and basically, Fritz Lang really wanted to do some research onto this topic. He did include both topics, or both sides, just, again, the impassioned people that want to really appeal to the gut instinct and allow someone to die for committing evils. And then, again, to the other character. I guess we're going to be talking about the courtroom scene very soon, because I feel like that's the very pivotal scene that kind of really won me over. It. But basically, Beckman just says, or is it Becker? Again, these names are really similar. Hans Beckman, the killer, is captured, and he tries to plead insanity, and he does not half-ass it. It goes all the way with saying, "Yes, I have killed people, but I cannot help it. I feel like I must do it, or not must, quote unquote, but like to really silence the voices in his head." And again, the first time I watched this was like 5 to 6 years ago because I really wanted to watch all the great movies. And this movie kind of threw me for a loop because one, I didn't I was always under the assumption that Germany, at least especially Germany, was just like this kind of socially regressive place that didn't want people to be too different, that they're all
Justin, if you
homogenous.
wanted me to talk about history, you should have said this thing, this like misconception that you have like forever
Hmm.
ago. Justin, that's
Forever
like a
ago.
big misconception
It
for
is.
Germany. Yeah, in fact, before Hitler's regime, Germans didn't. There was very obviously there was anti-Semitism, but Germany was amongst some of the safest places for Jews
Yes.
through the Middle Ages, through the Renaissance period, essentially through the life of the Holy Roman Empire. Because even if one king or count or duke was an anti-Semite, there was another kingdom, like a day's travel down the road that you could, or duchy or county that you could go and hang your hat at and do, whatever your family business might be.
Yeah.
Um, and so like the idea that Germany is this like super regressive place. Part of that misconception, I think, obviously comes from the fact that Americans don't really know much about Germany outside of World War II. But I think another part of it also comes from some of the other governments they have, or they have had. Um, I mean, East Germany for one, but for another, before the Weimar Republic, they had an empire. They had an emperor,
Mm.
essentially. So it's uh it's this nasty misconception. Meanwhile, the actual people in Germany, um, reasonably progressive. The colors on the German flag today are the colors of the peasant revolt from 16 something. Um, and those colors are supposed to represent there's three things they actually represent, and I cannot remember them off the top of my head. One of them's blood, one of them soil, I think that's
Mhm.
the brown and brown.
Is it brown? I thought it was the yellowish. Is it not yellow?
They do have yellow. It's black,
Oh, was it?
not brown. I was just thinking like dark color. Duh, black.
Oh,
Um
well,
yes. So now I have to look up what they represent because now
okay,
I'm design.
yeah.
Uh
I will say, to fill up Pierce's time here, I mean I did some more research into this. And one, okay, this completely caught me off guard that like there would be a movie that would be kind of propagating the fact that maybe we should not treat criminals with such damnation. And I did look up into like the more socially progressive side of German film. There were two. There was one movie at least. No, there were two. There's one movie I forgot which this was made, but this was I think this was a silent film. It's called Different from the Others, which was the first pro-gay film in the world. It starred Conrad Veidt, who is this amazing human being as an actor, who is German. Basically, he was in the movie Casablanca. He basically was like, "Hey, if you're gonna show me as a Nazi, show me as the bad guy, and show me losing." He really expressively disapproved of Nazi Germany at the time, and he was in it. He was in a movie that was pro-gay, and another movie I think another one at the same time, called Mädchen in Uniform or Girls in Uniform, which is around the same time, a 1931 German romantic drama about two women who loved each other. So Germany. So, Hitler
mhm.
really messed up the perception of Germany outside of, you know, their
Yeah.
themselves.
But okay, so I can't actually just very quickly find exactly what the colors are supposed to represent, but they
Mhm.
symbolize national unity and civic freedom because they have a lot of history with the people. The Germans, and one of their words for people are folk, and it VOLK, and it means like the common man, the common
Mm.
people. Um, and this is, I mean, that like the colors are supposed to be going back to the peasant revolts and those the folk of Germany. Um, so German history is really steeped in liberalism, people's liberalism being repressed by authoritarian governments, whether that be Otto von Bismarck and his regime, that the German Empire, or Hitler. Did you know that in Berlin during the time of the Weimar Republic, uh, there was a thriving LGBTQ community, um, like thriving, like
Yeah.
like the LGBT capital of the world at the
Jeez.
time. Um, so yeah, Germany's history, it because we know about the governments and the terrible people, um, it feels like they're super regressive. Um, and some of them are. There's still racism problems in Europe today,
Yeah.
but the German history is such one of very liberal people being repressed by government.
Yes, very unfortunate. Um,
Anyways,
this
the point is, the
yeah
us thinking all
misconception.
Germans are socially regressive like autocrats is
Yeah,
it's a misconception.
yeah, and this movie kind of that movie kind of got me down the rabbit hole of just like because like I went in I knew this was before Hitler rose to power, so I just watched this movie and that kind of just blew me away as in like how there's a lot of nuance towards this, as in like a showing the defendant side of and trying to advocate for the mentally ill. That just blew me away because I straight up did not expect that, and I don't think we even see that much in like American media around this time, especially because they always kind of mentally ill people are not portrayed in the best of light, especially at least in America as well around this time. So again, blew me away when I first saw that. Unfortunately, this has been taken out of context. That speech, that very impassioned speech, was used by as evidence that that Jews were evil because Peter Lorre, Peter Lorre, was Jewish, and even though it's not stated in the film or even implied, he played a killer, and therefore he was representing all Jews. Which I don't know if you even watched that lawyer part where it was like, hey, man, he needs some help. And interestingly enough, I don't can't really verify this, but Joseph Goebbels um approached Fritz Lang because I don't know, it was either this movie or the trial of Dr. Mabuse, where he was like, "You're a great filmmaker. You can be an honorary Aryan." To which Fritz Lang has said that as soon as that happened, he said, "I'll think it over." Went home and basically packed up stuff and fled to America, where he had a thriving movie career. I did try to verify that. Goebbels has not really mentioned that, and Fritz Lang has stayed in Germany for months when that has actually happened, and then eventually fled. Also, his wife was a Nazi, which was very unfortunate. This is the first film they actually really complete. This is the last film, not the first. This is the last film they completed together. Um, Before they had a falling out. I forgot what her name was, but I mean, who cares? Who cares? She's a Nazi. She basically they collaborate. They had a long form collaboration, and she was this. I don't know how she was a reputable artist that has written many novels, and basically just um, was a thriving artist who decided to throw it all away, throw away her legacy, and join the Nazi Party, and also she committed a lot of infidelity in the relationship. So maybe not the best for people, and maybe it's better that we don't remember her. Um, so yeah, um, I don't know. I just I found that very unfortunate that it was someone was able to completely miss the point of that scene. Because Goebbels, who was even kind of directly mocked in the movie, I don't know how much you can really read into that, but it was almost prophetic in the way that, from sources that I've read, that they had the long coats and they were marching down in straight lines that look very autocratic. And he was quoted as saying, quote, "Fabulous against this humanitarianism trait for the death sentence."
Oh.
And, you know, that's not what the movie was really saying or doing, but, Goebbels was wrong about a lot of things, I would say. Yeah,
You might say that. Stunning and brave, Justin.
I know, very controversial take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I guess to wrap up the stuff I also want to say about this movie, because I feel like Pierce has kind of run out of things to say, unless you got something really, you got something to say.
Let's have something really juicy.
Juicy.
No, I mean, I guess like it's. I think I'm probably being more down on the movie than like I could be, just because I'm learning German. This is supposed to be the best German movie, pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, it's like this or The Lives of Others or The
Oh,
Boat or something. Like
that,
like the
yeah.
like I just mean like those are the top ones, right?
Yeah.
Um, Downfall, Like there are a few you could put up here on this like mountaintop, but like this is probably the most universally acclaimed, right? Like the top
Yeah.
one.
Your expectations too high.
So my expectations were too high, I would imagine.
Yeah. I don't know, but like we can appreciate the movie for introducing a lot of stuff that has, kind of codified the tropes in the genre. Also, this was the first movie to really include the leitmotif. I don't know if we don't know what a leitmotif is, but basically having music um, appear with a character, and you associate that song with a character. It's used in basically every movie with a really fantastic score. And this movie was the first to do it with in the Hall of the Mountain King. So there's that. Also, is in the Hall of the Mountain King German?
Uh,
Good question.
Probably
Sounds
so many of those um classical pieces were
probably.
German. So Edvard Grieg, he was Norwegian. It's Norwegian.
Yeah. Oh, what did you think of Peter Lorre's little acting performance here?
His
Because
little acting
his little acting
performance.
performance.
I thought it was pretty good. Like, yeah.
Monologue,
It,
just, like get you there, or is it like
yeah.
because that was the part where I was just like, this movie's
It,
flipping itself on its head.
yeah, I don't know. His performance worked for me overall, I would say.
I think he carries the movie.
I think he carries the movie.
Because like I mean, like who else? Like I don't think anyone else is there to really steal the show from him.
I
Because
guess.
yeah,
But
um,
but but okay, hold on. So
okay,
I agree he's far and away the best performance, sure. But carrying the movie, I don't know about that. Like I would say like
I'm waiting.
the direction and
Okay,
writing is like enough to stand on its own. Like that
hmm.
this would still be like a decent film without him. When I think carrying a movie, I think like you
Ooh.
take Joaquin Phoenix out of Joker and you have like a really bad Taxi Driver
Oh,
knockoff.
okay, all right,
That's what
okay,
when I think about carrying a movie, that's what I'm thinking of.
all right, all right. Yeah, okay. I'm just saying that monologue. I mean, I don't speak German at all, but like that's some good stuff right there. Yeah. Peter Lorre is an interesting guy. He had a thriving career in Hollywood after he emigrated here, to escape the Nazi Party. It's just he was typecast after this because this was quote unquote his best performance, and I don't think Pierce you've ever seen any of his other movies. He was in Casablanca, and I don't think he's seen Casablanca. Um, he he also I don't know if you know Pinky and the Brain, but I forgot which one he was, but the really short brainy one. Um, that's him. One of them. I think is it the brain? Probably the
The
brain.
short brainy one. I wonder who that
I
could be.
wonder. I said that out loud. And I'm like, damn. I should not have said that out loud.
Could Pinky be the one shaped like a pinky? No, of
No,
course not.
nah. But like, if you watch a clip from that show, you'll see that very thick German accent that's talking a lot like Peter Lorre. That's him. Um,
I thought I read somewhere he was Hungarian.
that is interesting. I wish I
He was
was born here.
Hungarian born. He
Hmm.
began his stage career in Vienna. Oh, he was born when Austria-Hungary was a thing. So he probably knew,
Oh.
even though he was Hungarian, he probably learned German as a child because Austria.
Hmm. He has a very thick accent, like in all of his movies. So yeah, no, like I think he learned English. I don't know why I snapped there. Sorry. I think he learned English when I think he was first cast in an Alfred Hitchcock movie. I think it was The Man Who Wasn't There. I forgot what it was. Oh, I feel bad not knowing.
I read
But he
somewhere
knew
that
too much. Yeah.
he did he did English lines in a multiple language version of M.
Oh yeah. Also, he was a very hard worker. He was juggling two movies at the same time. Well, he was doing this movie and and like during the day, because this movie was shot all on stage, and at night he would actually, I think he was working on a play as well, so he would be doing this movie, and at night just working on a play, which is pretty interesting. And probably this movie was very difficult to make because of basically Peter Lorre was really young in this movie, and Fritz Lang just really was a perfectionist. Apparently, he was begging him to stop because like he kept on throwing him down the stairs, which made him seem more like sweaty and very impassioned and just like ugh. So that stuff is very genuine. So yeah, made for a good performance, but it kind of soured their relationship with each other because I forgot what movie that Fritz Lang wanted him to be back in. He just said no because I'm like I don't want to work with that guy again, even though I made his career. I don't blame him. Now I got nothing else to say. I feel like I've said everything I wanted to say. Um, I
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's not an overly complex movie, but it certainly builds out some ideas that we are, even though I don't think they're as controversial today, we're still dealing with them.
Yeah.
As well as builds out some, motifs that have been
Yeah.
used forever in
I will
talkies.
say the black and white in this movie really makes this like I can't imagine this movie being filmed to colors. There's like it doesn't work. The shadows make this movie everything.
Well,
Well,
on that note, we'd like to invite you next week to we're
German.
recording it a week from now, but our normal book club meeting where we will be discussing um, a couple of German literature, pieces of German literature. I can speak English too.
Yeah.
Um, I read Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse.
So did
Justin
I.
read Das Parfum um,
That's
by.
how you pronounce it.
I honestly don't know. They probably pronounce it
Yeah.
however French people pronounce it because it's a French loan word.
It's like hon hon hon.
Um, it's like German restaurant is restaurant because that's how the French people pronounce it, and
That is interesting.
the Germans just
All these fun facts and more in the next week's episode.
yeah. What Patrick Susskind.
Tuscan.
Uh,
If you want to listen to me butcher some more German pronunciations, you can listen to that
Tune in
episode as
next
well.
week. Next week we'll also announce what our Halloween month, October, is going to
Pokemon.
look like, what that theme will be. And yeah, please give us a like, a follow, a rating, a follow, whatever it is, on whatever platform. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You can find us on Twitter at Not Just Any Pod, where you'll find information on this podcast, month to month, whatever the topic is. And yeah, that's about it.
Phoedos and Prometheus.
There we go. Now it works.
Yeah.